Welcome back to the channel, all my friends. 3/4 ton Dodge Ram. We are going to be replacing the upper ball joint on this truck. As we discovered on the last video, we've checked the front end. Everything else is fine on this truck. It seems to be just the driver's side upper ball joint that's got a lot of play in it. So we'll get that changed today. Now, in a normal case, you do want to replace the upper, lowers, and the hub bearing at least. You are going to have all that off, so you might as well replace all them pieces. In my case, I do plan on putting lockouts on this truck or manual hubs, so it just makes no sense for me to replace all them pieces when they are functional. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them. With the wheel off the ground, you can clearly see the amount of play I have in the upper ball joint. Completely removed. This wheel off. So we have the wheel removed off of the truck. Now, if you got wheel spacers like I did, that will also have to come off. So the next thing we'll need to remove is the caliper, the bracket, and the rotor. First thing we'll go ahead and do, stick a pry bar in between the caliper and the rotor here, and you want to pry it towards the outside on both of these access holes here. That relieves the pressure off the rotor and pushes the piston back into the caliper. And you could usually tell by moving the rotor. Now the rotor's free from the pads. Now we'll go ahead and take our 13mm bolts. There's one up top here, one at the bottom of the caliper, and we'll go ahead and remove the caliper. Caliper and the pads removed. Next we'll go ahead and remove the caliper bracket. There's two 18mm bolts in the back, one here and one up top here. I've already broken them loose with a breaker bar. Now that the bracket is off, we can also remove the brake rotor. We will also be removing the ABS sensor, which is in the hub here, using a 5mm Allen wrench. We'll also need to remove the outer tie rod end here. That's a 21mm. Have the nut on the tie rod loosely. At this point, you can either use a pickle fork or tie rod separator, but a lot of those tend to chew up the boot that's on the tie rod. So we could do this another way. If you just take a hammer and just whack the end of it. And eventually you see it just falls out of its socket. Now we'll go ahead and remove the nut and get the tie rod completely off of there. With the tie rod end off, you can swing the knuckle back and forth. The next thing that we'll remove is the hub bolts, or the bolts that holds this hub or the bearing onto the knuckle. And they are 4 18mm bolts. You can go right back through here. There's two in the back. If you swing it the other way, you will see two more in the back here. They protrude out in the front here. You can see if you want to lubricate them, that helps. Remember, if your stub, these U-joints are in the way, you can rotate that shaft so you can reach in there with a socket. We will also need to remove the center axle nut. There is a cotter pin, so we'll go ahead and get that pulled off. With the cotter pin off, we'll go ahead and remove that nut. Now, I'm sure this is metric. I just didn't have a metric socket big enough. I got 1 11/16 here, which seems to fit perfect. So we'll go ahead and remove that nut. Now that we have the center nut off, we should be able to remove this hub bearing from the knuckle. Now, these things tend to seize up into the knuckle. Now, I've had this off a couple years ago, and I seized everything, so mine seems loose. If I just take a hammer, you can see that whole thing move. Now, in your case, if it's seized up, you can try to heat it. Another way you can do is loosely put these bolts back in through the back, just to lightly thread them in. You can take an air hammer and try to push the bearing out that way. Another trick that you can do is put a socket and an extension on here and wedge that in between this and the knuckle here, you'll have to put your tie rod back on, fire the truck up, and try to turn the wheel that way. So you can use your power steering to get that to push out a little bit. Once you get one edge pushed out, you should be able to lightly hammer around and get that to move. So like I said, now with the hub bearing off, remember there is a backing plate behind it here. Now we can go ahead and remove this stub shaft. You can take a pry bar behind it here. Mine's already out. And you can try to pull it, and we should be able to remove the complete stub shaft from the axle here. We'll get that set aside. And you want to put some paper or some rags in here, just so we don't get dirt inside of that axle housing. After the stub shaft removed, we can go ahead and remove the nut on the lower ball joint, which I believe is a 30 millimeter, or a standard 1 3/16 socket will fit perfectly on that also. And we can also remove the nut on the upper ball joint. There is a cotter pin on this, which I've already removed. This is a 24 millimeter. So we'll go ahead and get both of these nuts removed from the lower and the upper ball joint. The cotter pin removed from the upper joint and the nut from the bottom ball joint removed. I left just a little bit on there, not completely removing it, and just by hammering this edge here and the edge here at the bottom on the knuckle, I was able to free the knuckle from the ball joints. So now all I have to do is remove the bottom bolt, and we should be able to completely remove this knuckle. Now again, I'm only trying to do the upper ball joint on this, so I didn't want to use the pickle fork here. Well, I could have used it on the top to separate in the bottom, but that does tend to tear up the boot. I'm trying to save the bottom and only do the upper ball joint. With the bottom nut removed, that'll pull off just like so. So now we have complete access to both ball joints. Remember, if you are doing the lower does have a lock ring here that needs to be removed before you can push it in or out with the ball joint press. I'm only working on the upper. There is no lock washer on this one, and that'll have to come out through the top. So let's get our ball joint press and get that thing out of there. Here's my setup to remove the upper ball joint, guys. Again, I'm not touching the bottom. I was able to move it this way. The ball joint's actually out. What I did was to use this cup actually at the bottom just to push it enough. This tends to be the perfect diameter of the ball joint itself, so it was able to slip in. I just was missing the other adapter out of my ball joint press, so the rest of the way I was able to get it with a socket, and it was the same diameter as the ball joint. Now the ball joint's completely out. We'll get this press removed. Just to recap a little bit, how I removed it was, we have a cup at top here, so the ball joint, remember, has to go up to come out from the knuckle. So we have a spacer that's bigger than the ball joint, and a cup up top here. And at the bottom, originally, I was using this. The circle here, the diameter of this, is the exact as bottom of the ball joint. So that was able to push it up just far enough. I just didn't have another spacer that would go in. And again, just clamping it that way and pushing it up. So that was able to move the ball joint. Then to get it out rest of the way, I was able to use this socket, and that didn't take much to push it out that way. So the new ball joint that I have is a MOOG problem solver. There is some up and down movement to this shaft here in the center, and that's normal. That's how they seat as you tighten them up. There shouldn't be any side-to-side slop inside of the socket. So let's get this joint in. That will sit in there just like so. We'll put some anti-seize around that also so it doesn't seize in. Now to put the new ball joint back in, here's a setup I did with this press. Just this cone at the bottom here, cup here that grabs the top of the the ball joint itself, another cup here. And we've gone as far as we can with that, just because this cup is the same diameter and it seems to fit right into the hole where the ball joint goes. So we'll go ahead and remove this. Now, if the lower ball joint was being removed, we could flip this whole thing around and go right through here with that ball joint not being there. That might make a difference. We'll go ahead and remove this and set it up a little differently to get the ball joint in the rest of the way and get that seated. So here was the setup on the press to finish seating the ball joint all the way. So we have a cone at the bottom, a bigger cup that the ball joint can fall into, a closed cup. I did end up removing the grease fitting on top of the ball joint to fit that, since that cup is closed. The cone fits right on top of that, and the shaft from the press goes right on top of that. And now our ball joint is completely seated where it should be. We'll go ahead and remove this press and finish this project rest of the way. So with the ball joints in, I do also have the knuckle back on. Yes, I did paint it, including the caliper. Now, being that this upper ball joint that I replaced, this was a MOOG joint, the nut is a different size on that. Now remember, your upper does have the cotter pin, my lower doesn't. That may be original. But now we can go ahead and install our axle shaft through here. That'll be our next step. So I was able to install the shaft right through the knuckle here just by lifting it, keeping it straight until it locks in. Now we can go ahead and install our dust shield, and then we can do our hub bearing right over that. So we have our hub bearing in, our center castle nut is on, and 4 18mm bolts that go through the back to hold the bearing. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind is you want to keep the hole. That's for the ABS sensor up top, obviously. Another thing I may have forgotten to mention is before you put the ball joint on the top, you want to make sure this bracket that holds your ABS cable goes on, and it's held on by the nut for the upper ball joint. So now that we have everything here hand tightened, we'll get everything properly torqued, tightened, and the next step, we'll start putting our braking system together. Have everything tightened up. We do need to put a cotter pin in this center bolt here. And before you put the rotor or the caliper back on, you want to make sure you get your ABS sensor back in and plugged back in. I was able to button up everything in one shot here. The caliper is back on. Remember, 2 18mm bolts on the bracket. The rotor has to go on before the bracket or the caliper can go on. Now, the last step I saved for last was putting the tie rod back on. Remember, a 21mm bolt on top of the tie rod. Leaving that off allows you to swing the whole knuckle back and forth while you're working on the brakes. You can swing it to this side, and it works out perfect. I do have 2-inch spacers on this, which helps. When I put that on, it held the rotor straight so I could get the bracket and the caliper back on. And I've also greased the joint, the ball joint that we've just put in, the U-joint on the wheel. All I have left to do is to put the wheel on and take the truck for a test drive and make sure there's no vibrations or noises. Put the wheel back on and the vehicle off the jack stands. Before driving the vehicle, it is a good idea to depress the brake pedal a few times to seat the pads, since we've had the caliper off and we've had. So I was able to take the vehicle for a test drive. No issues, no problems, no noises. It is a good idea to recheck all the torques, especially your wheels and spacers if you got on. Now there's going to be plenty more we're going to be doing to this truck. I have a 1-piece drive shaft here that we'll be installing on this and getting rid of the 2-piece and all the vibration issues these things have. So stay tuned for that. If you have any questions, comments, please let me know. I thank you for watching.